Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and change this so that we can, okay, mute. Okay, now I'm going to make it so that participants can unmute themselves. I'm going to try that. I think we're a small enough group that that can work. So if you can see to unmute yourselves.
Yes, I do it.
Okay, okay, great. Is that Marcela?
Marcela, but I can see me in the screen. You
Great.
can see me?
You
can see me?
Right at the moment, I kind of need, okay. Yes, we can see you.
Okay, okay.
There you are. Yes, did you have a question or comment?
Mm-hmm. Yes. I understand that this is not the moment to initiate anything, right?
It's a good question. To not initiate, it's tricky, right, Kaylin? I mean, it's kind of like what Kaylin was saying about also even Kaylin was saying that we may not reduce Venus to being just about relationship, but Kaylin was even saying, maybe if you have a choice otherwise, don't get married during Venus retrograde. Mm-hmm. But it's kind of like with Mercury retrograde. Sometimes we have to live, so we're going to have to initiate some things, but I would say the tone of the cycle is more about reflection, about celebration, about looking at what's happened before, and then taking some time to deepen into what we want to prepare for next. Do you want to say anything else? Wait a second, Kaylin. I'm so sorry. I think you can unmute yourself also, Kaylin, but I'm just
okay, yeah, thanks. Okay. All right, yeah, so I would say definitely if you can not do anything for the days that Venus is in the evening sky when she's reflecting and, integrating and synthesizing the previous cycle and preparing for the next while she's in the underworld. Once she's become morning star, and that happens on March 31st, and she's still retrograde for 16 days until April 15th, then you could move towards starting to put your energy into the world. And I will say that in my second marriage, we got married with Venus as morning star. And it did, as I said, last 16 years. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
And again, a lot of it has to do with our intention. And if I know people who've done a lot of things in Mercury retrograde that wouldn't be recommended, but it worked out for them because they had a strong intent and they were clear about what they were doing. Sometimes when we're unconscious about it, it doesn't work as well.
Yes. Well, that's very good news because Tammy and I will participate in this workshop just before the 22.
Yes, and I think doing ceremony, which is what we'll be doing, is be really powerful. I'm really excited we'll get to do that there. That will be really sweet. The little community in San Jose, Costa Rica, so that will be very, very sweet.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I'm very excited about.
We are too. Yes, me too. All right, so
I have a question. It's Bo.
Yes.
Hi.
So I'm just going to wait just 1 second. Sorry, Barbara. So now I'm just going to ask that if anybody, I think, Marcella, if you could go ahead and mute yourself again, that would be great.
Okay.
Just hearing a little bit of background noise.
Okay.
Okay. Go ahead. Sorry, Bo.
No, that's all right. I was just wondering, and I came in about 5 minutes late if you did, but I would love it if you could just give the dates of her path, like of those just as markers.
Yeah.
We're going to do that in a minute. I've got a couple more slides for that to actually, yeah.
Oh, perfect. I didn't know I thought maybe you were finished the presentation. And then the other piece that I've been mulling for myself is I'm not in a Venus return right now, but I do have Venus in Aries and I have Mercury in Venus ahead of the sun. And I understand collectively and culturally, like the power of this cycle on a broad-based way that's really impacting everyone in the planet. But just speaking to that, yeah, because I know in the write-ups, you've been talking about how powerful this is for people that have a lot of natal Venus as well, even if they're not in a return. So yeah, just love to hear more about that.
I am Venus in Aries. I'm very excited about this cycle. And I have worked with it in the past. I have found that when Venus, the meta goddess that's playing out on the world stage, is the same as your natal Venus, it's powerful.
Okay.
And so you don't have to be in a Mercury return. Also, because the Sumerians celebrated the Venus cycle closest to the spring equinox as the one they did culturally, and they probably weren't even necessarily aware of what they may not have had signs in the way we work with all that stuff now. So that was how they would go through the initiation collectively and to work with it. So it's really powerful to work with it when it's in your sign, or you're in your return, or if you just want to have a deeper understanding of that aspect of the feminine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm kind of saying it's a no-brainer, right?
Well, I'll just say too, if it's Kaylin's Venus is in Aries, my ascendant is in Aries, and we've been just brainstorming about the new cycle. We've been so excited about it for a while, and every time we talk about it, our own Aries is activated, and we just want to do everything at once, and it's just so exciting. It's very personal.
Yeah.
It's and yes, Jupiter in Aries is also, and pretty much anywhere in the chart.
Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks, Bo.
I have a question.
Yes, Emma.
Yeah. If somebody has Venus retrograde in their birth chart, does the energy get changed? I know that when I work with people with Mercury retrograde, frequently Mercury retrograde time is their most powerful moment. And I was wondering if this was so with Venus also.
That's a really good question. I don't know that we have an exact answer for that. But because Venus retrograde is even more rare than Mercury retrograde, it is the second. Venus is only retrograde for 40 days every 18 months. It's the rarest, it's the least amount of days retrograde over time. Mars is retrograde every 2 years, but it's retrograde for 4 months. So it's rare to experience Venus retrograde. And there's only about 6 or 7% of people that might have it because of the rareness of the cycle. So I think what we really need is for people who have it to tell us how they experience it when Venus is retrograde. Does that feel like a more powerful time to them? I think it might, because it does seem similar to Mercury, but I'm not for sure about that.
So, and I think we have Lace on the call. And wasn't she just saying in our last recently? You're retrograde Venus, right, Lace? Do you want to segue onto that?
She needs to unmute.
Oh, yeah. You need to unmute, Lace. Do you know how to do that? Or do you want me to do it for you? Okay. Let me unmute you. Okay. Unmuting you. Hey, Lace.
Yeah. You know, Emma, as you asked that, I was emphatically going, hell yes. Deeper level of, can you hear me?
You're kind of checking out a little bit. You're a little clearer now.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So I just wanted to tell Emma, hell yes, it really impacts you a lot more. Now, since I've got a much deeper understanding through shamanic astrology of this natal placement, I've been looking back and including this time, my life really takes some drastic, some real key events and life changes, moves, marriages, birth of children, change of jobs. I've been looking at old resumes, and out of nowhere now, as I'm straddling the end of this Leo return for myself and going into the new one, I think I'm going to move after 17 years. And boy, that wasn't on the horizon 19 months ago. In fact, it wasn't on the horizon a month ago, and it just appeared in these eclipses.
Hey, I know about that.
Yeah, I've been thinking of you. So during this retrograde period, I'm just holding back and observing, what would that look like? And already I can see that the universe, with no effort on my part, is really opening the door to that. And I'm starting to get excited. So in this retrograde period, I'm really going to be with my imagination looking at, how I want to make the rest of my life the best of my life through this change. That's it.
Thank you, Lisa. As you're
Complete.
saying that, I'm thinking that there's another piece about this, and people who are born either near Mercury retrograde or with Mercury retrograde will often find that their Venus return is not as precise in terms of near the birthday, because it can throw it off some due to the retrograde cycle.
Venus retrograde, not Mercury retrograde?
I'm talking about Venus retrograde.
Okay.
So, for example, we were looking at Lace the other day, and she was born with Venus retrograde, and she's going to have her 8-year birthday at the end of this month, at the multiple of 8, but it's not lining up precisely because she was born in the retrograde. So that's something that can happen as well. So it's like it's not like everybody else, right? It has its own unique pattern and challenges and gifts that it brings.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you, Lace. Yeah, it's so great to have you in the circle to be able to share your experiences. And it does feel like from some of the research we've done on Venus returns that the kinds of themes you're talking about, it's not necessarily uncommon also for those kinds of big events to happen near the birthday that's closest to the exact point of the Venus return. So even though we approach the entire 19-month cycle as a Venus return, those big events can happen really a lot closer to the birthday, which kind of also is another way to say what you're describing.
Right.
So,
Exactly.
all right. You complete, Lace?
Yeah, other than I want to share, Kaylin, I was on that call the other night when Daniel and you mentioned that your 32nd year and your 64th year. I'm also in the Mars return simultaneously.
Yes.
And Daniel said, look back at what happened at 32 years. Almost to the day I moved in with my sister, and that's what's presented itself this time. I was like almost falling off my chair when I got my calculator out. So I landed with my sister as a lily pad leap at 32 years during a pretty challenging time. And my sister's buying a new house in Florida, and a week ago sent me a text, and it said, these pictures are your bedroom in my new house. And I had never said a thing. And so when you and Daniel said, look back at 32, when you were 32,
yes,
my sister's home was a lily pad that I leaped on for an interim period. And it looks like that's offering an opportunity again.
Wow.
That's one of the remarkable things about looking back is sometimes you'll see it comes back at a higher octave. Sometimes not so much, or maybe more energetically and not the exact same situation. But that's definitely something that can happen. Yeah.
Thanks, Liz.
Thanks.
Right.
I think we have somebody else who maybe wants to talk.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
No? There's a 505 number that is not.
5261, whoever that is, I would say to mute or to
Jump in.
jump in. Yeah.
Okay. Hi, it's Leanne.
Hi, Leanne.
How are you?
Good. So awesome to
Good.
hear.
I was just listening.
Leanne was part of
Yeah.
one of the first circles that I took through this ceremony as a live initiation, and it was so much fun. And it's so fun to hear from you yesterday and know you were going to jump on.
Yeah. It's nice to hear your voice. And today's my granddaughter's birthday, so she turned 5. But and so questions. And it's just what type of ceremony do you think I should do?
For this whole retrograde period, or for morning star rise, or just generally?
For the morning star, I'm pretty much kind of in tune to what I need to do with as far as reflecting and being my kind of at a it's a cool thing, you know my story, so I'm kind of at that life change type thing, and I already have some plans. I've been thinking about it, but for that morning ceremony,
Yeah.
I was just wanting some pointers.
It's a good question. It's interesting. Kaylin can speak to this too, because I know in my training with Daniel and Kaylin in shamanic astrology, we are very in the moment. It's like defining the difference between ritual and ceremony, where we wouldn't necessarily prescribe just one thing step by step. What I would say, and Kaylin, please add what you feel about this, is that what could be what I think we've done, like what we did at the Sekhmet Temple, is to go to a sacred place and to actually observe morning star rise. That can be like anywhere from like the first week, even the first 2 weeks, to really be with Venus, spend time with her in the early morning sky. And maybe, of course, you can offer cornmeal, you can do whatever you would do in ceremony, but it's just to observe her, to spend time with her, to maybe, Kaylin, do you have any other ideas?
Well, yeah, sometimes the being with Venus is the ceremony,
Yeah.
Especially when we're there with open heart and intentions, and we can talk to her and open to receive whatever messages she might have for us. But really being guided by what feels alive for you. I've been trained in a priestess tradition that looks at living ceremony, so it's being alive in the moment, not necessarily having to do things in a specific way. So tuning in from that perspective, maybe dreaming on it, meditating on it, journaling on it, to see what comes through from a part of you that knows and is attuned. So that's what I would recommend. I will say that I've been thinking about this lately. Some years ago, I used to always share with clients when they were in a Venus return to work with it ceremonially. And one time I'd been doing this for years, and this woman said, well, I don't know how to do that. What would I do? And what came out of that is what a lot of what we're doing now in the Venus alchemy journey, because one of the things we recommend people do is create a Venus altar. And that's what I recommended for her. And to engage each point of the Venus cycle by removing things from the altar when she was descending, by adding things back to the altar when she was ascending, and when I said that to her, then I was like, wait a second, I'm going into my Venus return. I better do this. So I did that, and I kept a Venus journal, and so on. So you could start with that. You could even, just create a Venus journal for this next cycle and start journaling about what's coming through for you. And then how do you work with that ceremonially? Then that's just, it's like being creative, make it up. Do what feels alive in the moment.
Absolutely. Love that. And that, what Kaylin had tuned into and discovered for herself with the Venus altar and then the Venus journals is what part of what we incorporate into our ceremonial classes. Everyone does that, pretty much everyone. And I'll just say, Leanne, that, in 2010, when I first started leading live circles through this, the first thing we did was we all met, 7 of us, at 5 a.m. And we went out, and this was in the middle of Albuquerque, and we went out and we spent time with Venus in the sky. We drummed, we drummed, we sang to her. We offered cornmeal, and it was beautiful. It was like, whoa, I don't know if anyone's ever, of course people have done that, but it was really amazing because there was so much energy from that. And I would sing to her. I like to sing to her sometimes too.
Yeah.
But those longer practices that Kaylin's talking about are some really beautiful, powerful ones. But you're a dreamer. So I think that's the other piece is, just really, we can dream with the planets, and we can ask them also what insight they might have for us. She might have some kind of a particular ceremony that's very particular for you to do. So I would just, do the dream incubation thing, like just ask the question several nights in a row, to Venus. Give me some insight, give me some thought around how it is that I can honor you, I can welcome you in the morning sky.
And I'm seeing in chat that we have a suggestion for decluttering, and I'm all for that. Because it's like creating our temple sacred space, moving things out that we're not using, whatever is a good thing to do. I just moved, so I've been doing that. And all, basically that is a way to release that everything that doesn't belong in your life anymore, as Marcella is saying, so we can reincarnate. Woohoo!
Again, so in this little common thread, so you can see it, it's like, Marcella is saying it's a good time for decluttering. She wants to start a Venus journal. Emma's saying that's interesting. Decluttering has been on my mind. And Marcella is saying release everything that doesn't belong in your life anymore. And yes, that's part of what we're talking about is this, absolutely that piece of letting go, especially prior to morning star rise, is that in that process can be powerful. So anything else, Leanne?
No, I don't think so. I'll probably have something after I quit talking to you guys.
Okay. Good to hear your voice all the way from Albuquerque.
Oh, I know. Nice day. I was just outside. I miss you, so it's good to hear your voice.
Miss you too. Thanks, Leanne.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Meet myself.
Oh, sorry.
So does anybody else have anything?
Yes, me.
Yay, Kathy.
Yay.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm headed into a Venus return because I'll be 50. I just turned 55, so it'll be this whole cycle. And I think, Kaylin, that you said that when I was born, I have Venus in Pisces, but I think it was a Venus Aries cycle or when I was born. So anyway, and this retrograde portion is feeling really potent. Just 2 days ago, I felt a real shift in energy and realized that I had to go on retreat during this time. And fortunately, I'm going on a shamanic soul retrieval retreat. I just decided that it wasn't on my radar, and then it came up in my mind, and it was like, oh my God, you've got to go to Joshua Tree to do this. So it's really potent because it's going to be over the spring equinox. It's from the 19th to the 24th. And another little bit of magic that I'm noticing with, of course, I've been doing this Venus work with you guys since you started it. I'm noticing how without even any input, conscious input on my mind, how things line up. For example, a couple of months ago, I put in a proposal to do a speech at a women's conference that's going to happen here in Portland. And I put my topic as being engaging with the wild woman. And I was going to talk on, you know, I've done a lot of work with Clarissa Pinkola Estes's Wild Women archetype. I've written papers on it. And so I put in that I would do a talk, a half-an-hour talk on this topic. And the date they gave me to do this talk is April 15th. I thought you guys would get a kick out of that because I had no idea of the significance of that date.
Yes.
Until I saw the, you know, thing you did just last Sunday, the last gate. So it's like, oh my God, you know, the magic is just unbelievable.
Yes, it is. Thank you. It's so literally so.
Yeah, I love that, Kathy. That's congratulations.
So
Awesome.
so thank you.
And
because
the other thing to know about the age 56 Venus return is that's the time when you also have a nodal return. So big magic can definitely happen, maybe more than at other times, although magic is always connected to the Venus return.
Yes.
Always. But I have to say mine was really huge too. My age 56 Venus return.
Yeah.
Big. So yeah, cool.
Great.
Awesome.
Thank you so much. Looking forward to the next cycle.
Yes. Yes, and just to
Yay.
speak to what Kathy's saying, I mean, if you Google wild woman or warrior woman, which we do all the time because we're always trying to find good images, you will see so many offerings around that right now. It is in the
Right.
wall. It is so clearly the archetype.
Yes, yes. And the other thing I just wanted to mention was a goddess that's been very kind of uppermost in my conscious awareness the last couple of weeks is Athena.
Mm-hmm.
And she is a warrior goddess.
Yes.
So I feel her like maybe there's also an element of Athena, you know, in this coming cycle.
Yes, all the warrior goddesses
All the
actually,
warrior goddesses.
including Durga, who's a major warrior goddess
Yes.
also. And
Yes.
yeah.
Wonderful. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Thank you. I'll mute myself again.
Thank you, Kathy.
All right.
So
it's
anybody else? We could maybe take one more person, but we need to also wrap up
me
too. So
Sorry, can you answer the question of how to make a Venus journal?
well, you can just have any journal, or you can buy a book and, you know, turn it into, you just call it a Venus journal, any kind of journal that you want.
And,
go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, Tammy.
And, you know, it's part of what we do in our Venus ceremonial classes, so that, you know, when Venus is with the moon every month, you can journal on that, or you can work with whatever's coming up for you, and Venus is in different phases in the evening sky, in the morning sky, and then in the evening sky, and just see what comes up for you when you work with her.
Okay.
I'll tell you one of the things I did when I was journaling for my Venus return. I haven't been keeping a Venus journal because I've been doing too many other things, but recently I'm going to need to do that again. But I would do a stream of consciousness, and then I would also draw a tarot card and journal on what the images were that were coming up for me around that. So there's lots of different ways you can do it. And you can also talk about what's happening, you know, journal about what's happening to get insights about what's going on for you.
Okay.
As well.
I feel I don't have the dates.
Well, we're going to do that in just a second. But one more thing I want to say before we go back to sharing my screen is that Lace wants to know where Kathy is going on the retreat.
Okay.
She said Joshua Tree, but I don't know what the name of it is. So.
Yeah, well, it's through the shamanic school that I study with. So it's one of the classes for their advanced students. So it's not really open to the public, but it's through the Four Winds is the shamanic school I've been studying with the last couple of years. Yeah.
Awesome.
Cool.
Thank you.
All right. Now I'm going to share the last two slides, I think, unless anybody wants to say anything.
I have a quick question, Kaylin.
Yes.
Super quick.
Yes.
Hi. You mentioned the Mayans and waging war with the Venus, the morning star rise of Venus, and I wondered, is that specific to the spring equinox rising?
No, I think anytime Venus rose as a morning star, probably was more successful when it was in there.
Right.
Through the spring. But we don't really know that. I just, whatever. Anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, anytime. I think anytime Venus rose.
It's a 27-page document. There are that many examples of all the sacrifice, the staging of battles, all of that. Kaylin and I, when Kaylin found that and she shared it with me, it was just like, whoa, this is big magic, and we definitely want to work with this in a new way. That's part of what we're doing.
But it's good to know about how they did it so we can do it differently.
Yeah.
Right? All right. Okay, so here are the last couple of slides. Okay, so Venus is stationing retrograde on March 4th, 2017 at 13 Aries. It's disappearing from the evening sky on March 18 at 9 Aries, so dropping into the metamorphic underworld at that time. And then retrograde Venus will conjunct the sun on March 25th at 5 Aries, and a few days later rises as morning star on March 31st at 1 Aries, beginning a new 584-day cycle. Something I want to mention while we're talking about this is the last time Venus will rise as morning star in Aries. Last chance to work with the Aries meta goddess. So another reason, if you're interested in doing that, to do it, because next time in 2025, Venus rises around 29 Pisces, because it shifts a few degrees back each cycle. And then Venus stations direct on April 15th at 27 Pisces. Yeah. So, but something to know about this particular cycle, and we talked about this in the Shamanic Astrology Mystery School members call a few days ago, and I'm going to get to that in just a minute, but just also I was finding it really interesting as I was creating this slide going, 7 to 8 day disappearance corresponds to the 7 or 8 Venus moon conjunctions representing the 7 or 8 chakras when Venus is morning star and evening star. So there's just this connection. But technically, if we're looking at the 10-degree orb, which we use for ceremonial purposes, Venus is going to be gone for 13 days. However, according to Sky and Telescope magazine, they're saying that Venus will be visible in the evening sky on March 22nd, setting 30 minutes after the sun, and the following morning on March 23rd is rising 33 minutes before the sun and is possible to be seen with the naked eye on both the evening of March 26th in the western sky and the morning of March 23rd in the eastern sky. And that's actually 5 days after Venus disappears from the evening sky. It is also 3 days before the conjunction with the sun. And this has to do with latitude. So apparently, since that time, Daniel has gone back and done a lot of research about this because it really stumped him. And it happens to be in this cycle, within this rising near the spring equinox cycle, the latitude of Venus is off, it's 8 degrees north of the sun. So it often is visible as it's going from evening sky for one night and then going to morning sky the next day. And so the guy who wrote the article actually said he has seen it with his naked eye. So that's something that we can also work with to see if we can see it. If we have, a clear view of the western sky and the as well as the eastern sky the next day to see if we can see Venus, and I'm going to try it.
Yeah, so if
I'm really excited about it.
Me too. If anybody sees it, let us know.
Yeah, we'd love to hear from you. So
So.
Anyway, I think that
Can we go back to the previous slide just for another moment?
Get those dates.
Yeah. Thank you. Yes, thank you.
So, as some of you might be writing these dates, it's interesting to ask, how might the ancients have worked with that strange occurrence where you would see Venus in the evening sky, she would disappear, then see her in the evening sky, and then the next morning see her in the morning sky, and then she disappears again and, rises again 7 days later. I mean, because
I don't know that she disappears. If you can see her on the 23rd, you could probably see her on the 24th, the 25th, all the way up to the 31st.
Wow.
So something for you to know is that what we do is we use, and this is what Jim Maynard uses and astronomers use, is a 10-degree orb. So when Venus is 10 degrees from the sun, we don't consider, we consider it to be starting that conjunct time. And then as she moves further than 10 degrees from the sun, then she's no longer conjunct the sun. So, but I have seen Venus when she's 8 degrees from the sun. So by declination, and this is actually by latitude, and she's 8 degrees by latitude from the sun. So she will be possibly visible sooner. The other thing I want to say is, for those of you who aren't getting this written down, in my celestial timings at kaylencastell.com, I've got all this information, and you can get it there as well. So
yeah, awesome. Yeah, no, and it makes sense. If she disappears on the 18th, it's going to be, and it can be anywhere from, usually it's going to be way less than 13 days.
Yes.
It would make sense that she would appear sooner.
Right.
So we'll see. Wow. She's Aries, is like what you were saying, where she's so eager
that she can't wait
to stay in the underworld for very long. So that magical, mystical period we talked about, it might be really short. You might just have a few days.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. So
apparently this will happen again in 2025 when Venus rises up as well.
Awesome. That's so exciting. All right. So I think we're complete. It's a little over an hour, and this has been very fun to have everyone as joining us to celebrate this incoming Venus cycle and retrograde, and the power of working with that.
Indeed.
Yes. Thank you so much. And every time I listen to you guys, I learn something that I would never imagine.
Thank you, Emma. We love you.
Yes, we love you.
Hey, and thanks for that, Lance. My husband has Venus and Mercury retrograde 3 degrees apart in Aries, opposite his moon, his Libra moon.
Yeah.
So it's trying to understand this energy has been a process for both of us.
Indeed.
Yes. All right. Well, thanks for sharing, Emma, and we will keep exploring these mysteries. There's always more to learn.
Always. Always. Yeah. So fun.
Oh, Marcella, there's the book by Jenkins, the one that Daniel referred.
John Major Jenkins?
John Major Jenkins' book, yeah. And he covers this Venus thing with the Mayans pretty intensely. Apparently not in the same way that he did a book that he wrote a couple of years earlier, but this is it's pretty good to read.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, excellent.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. All right, everyone, have a beautiful night.
Thanks, Tammy.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Sorry, a minute, please. Emma, thank you. Can you write the name of the book and the author in chat?
I'll put it on the website. On the Facebook page.
Yeah, on the event page.
On the event page. Okay.
Okay, perfect.
Okay,
right. Thank
good.
you.
Thank you all.
My senior mind won't let all that in front.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Bye. Good night.
Mwah.
Happy birthday, Kaylin.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Tomorrow.
I'm celebrating now.
March 4th.
Woohoo.